Welcome, folks. Craig Bushon Show, live from the Craig Bushon Show studios in beautiful state of Texas. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. Our direct line, if you want to call into the show today, we've put up on Facebook, so you can go check it out. Just go to Facebook for the Craig Bushon Show. Also, Be First in Media, BeFirstInMedia.com. And very excited today because we're going to have some very interesting feedback from myself talking about what happened with the debate. The vice presidential debate is something that I want to, let it digest a little bit. Kind of just let it soak in, hear what all the pundits say out there, and then we're going to play through. I've got Gabe producing the show today, so we're going to pull up some video of the debate, and I am going to say what I think I would have said, or what I wish Paul Ryan would have said. So that's coming up today on the Craig Bushon Show. Always know you can watch us live at BeFirstInMedia.com. That's BeFirstInMedia.com. Click on the Listen Live link right at the top of the page, and here we are. And a lot of great stuff going on today. Again, I want to put something out right there. Texans, the Houston Texans, my little football-ish. Hold on a second. Yep. Tastes like victory. It does. Drinking my Dr. Pepper 10, just for men, just for guys. But Houston Texans played today, this evening, 7:20 kickoff against the Green Bay Packers. And I'm a Packers fan. I got to say that a cheesehead. If I could like any team in the East Coast, it would be the Green Bay Packers. I was always a Brett Favre fan, and I just think that Green Bay, classy place, classy team, but unfortunately we're going to have to beat them this evening to go 6-0. Can you believe it? To the Houston Texans 6-0. Amazing. As you know, my backdrop here for our mobile studio, it's always a tribute to our armed forces. We have the green camouflage back there, and also you can see Twitter, Facebook, and what else we have? Oh, and Ustream, because we have a great partnership with Ustream that we also uplink to. And then we always have our broadcast live, again, on BeFirstInMedia.com. Well, let's get right to it. A lot of exciting stuff. Big thing right now. Listen, Red Bull has wings. It is true that Red Bull officially has wings. Or at least they know how to fall. Because I don't know if you can really say falling is flying. I don't think it really is, actually. I think flying is like what a bird does, and it defies gravity. Falling is when gravity wins. Okay, so, it has wings, but how well do the Red Bull wings work? Because, what I'm talking about, folks, is Felix Baumgartner, just a few minutes ago, maybe about 35, 40 minutes ago, the daredevil jumped from a balloon more than 24 miles above Earth today. And he landed safely on his feet. Now, I watched this whole thing. And it's the first time you're really going to see it was maybe not the first time. Because you got SpaceX out there, and you've got other companies that are private sector. And private sector is always teamed up with NASA, and I get that. But, this is a real first big publicized one man, Red Bull, got wings, all that kind of stuff, jumps out of a parachute. And jumps out of a balloon with not one parachute, but 4 parachutes, just in case. He traveled at 729 miles an hour. That is unbelievable. At least that's the unofficial speed that he's falling at. It was amazing. I mean, he was jumping basically into a vacuum when he left that little capsule. And what that means is there's no resistance. So when he jumped, he had to make sure that, when he leaped out, he was just very still. And because if he would have been moving really at all, he could have just done, could have been catastrophic, where he could have just been spinning in a death roll and just ripped him apart. So, but it was an amazing thing. But Red Bull was the main sponsor of this thing. And I think this is going to give you the true taste of what's going on with NASA. Maybe it's a good thing. Are you a fan? Are you a fan that NASA is now really being NASCAR approached? I mean, soon you're going to have capsules going up with not just NASA, but it'll be Red Bull and it'll be Viagra. I mean, come on. I mean, that'd be kind of cool, right? I mean, what a better way to show off that little blue pill than a rocket shooting off into space. A big white rocket. But folks, seriously, that's what's happening. What's going on is you're seeing, I call it the NASCAR approach. I'm a fan of NASCAR. I like NASCAR. I mean, it is kind of strange that how people want to just watch cars go around in an oval. But the fact is, what is it? It's advertising. There's stickers all over them. And I think that could be what we're going to see going into space flight. Now, are you happy with that? Is it a good thing? Do you believe that it's a good situation to have our... Well, really, a lot of national defense has to do with NASA too, you know. All those satellite systems. Are you happy that a lot of private companies are getting involved? I mean, I was with Gene Cernan, the last man to land on the moon, several months ago. Heck, it was probably a year ago or more, really. And I was at a big SpaceX event with Jim Carter with the Texas Insider, and he has an organization, okay, that called the Austin Economic Club. And Gene Cernan wasn't happy about it. He doesn't like the idea of all this private, well, international, think about this, international stuff teamed up with NASA. Because a lot of our strategic defense systems have to do with what's going on in outer space. Listen, we the people own a lot of that technology funded by taxpayers. And in the end, we have to make sure that when we spend our tax dollars with an organization like NASA, who owns it? Who owns this stuff? I mean, I'm sure Red Bull owns, this Felix Baumgartner's jump. But I read that NASA is going to learn a whole lot of stuff from this. That's a good thing, I guess, right? But who owns this information? See, the whole idea of having organizations like NASA, ran by us, the people, funded by tax dollars, making space shuttles, Star Wars, Star Wars with Ronald Reagan, I don't think came from China, having a strategic relationship with China and Finland. Okay, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. I think the whole idea is that we have our strategies to own our own proprietary information about what goes on up in outer space. So, yes, it's a great story. Yes, it's kind of funny that Red Bull's there, and they got wings. And if you really think about it, they really don't have wings because the guy jumped out of the capsule and he fell like a rock. So, not many wings there, okay? Now, gravity works. That's another thing I do know for sure. Gravity absolutely works. But, congratulations to Felix Baumgartner. Obviously, he is an unbelievable parachutist, and he is a professional daredevil. And this is one of the things that I don't even think I have to put out there, this disclaimer, that you always hear when you watch something which is, very ridiculous or dangerous or stupid that's done, either on TV or on the web, is don't try this at home because there's no way you could do this yourself. I mean, it would be interesting though to see somebody try to do this, but I don't think it's going to happen. So, congratulations to Felix Baumgartner. He fell over 24 miles, went over 700 miles an hour, and landed on his feet. It's amazing. Truly amazing. But more information that you have to know about is, hey, if you want to give a call to the show. Okay, this is a temporary line right now I'm going to put out there. It's a temporary phone number, 512-541-5122. That's the number to give a call. And you can reach us here. We're going to have Terry Littlepage calling in the show today. He is our partner within Be First in Media and Be First in Business. We're going to talk a little bit about Be First in Business, why it's launched, what it does, and then also what's going on. He's all the way out in El Paso, Texas. Also travels into New Mexico. So, and as you know, once again, to go right back to our Daredevil, that's where he landed, was in Roswell, New Mexico. So we'll have Terry calling in around 2:35 today. So, but if you go to our Facebook page, or even more, let me pull it up right now. Go to befirstinmedia.com. You'll see some posts there, And the whole idea of the website is to put some direct information about things that are very, very important that affect you and I in our life. And this is a huge political season right now. Obviously, politics are top of mind for a lot of people. And a growing number of those people are the youth, 18 to 29-year-olds, kind of that Y generation. That 18 to 29-year-old is a very, very key sweet spot for anyone who's running for office. And what's interesting is we posted something right on the front page. It was written by John Opdyke, and it refers to the Census Bureau. And the Census Bureau is making a concerted effort to fully include young people. Witness Commerce Secretary Gary Locke's recent appearance on The Daily Show. Well, you know, that is where a lot of young people get their news. Census takers will be knocking on dorm rooms and checking to see who is crashing on the couch. But regardless of how thorough they are, I mean, the fact is, what do they want to know? They want to know who you're going to vote for. If you're a young folk out there, you're a young 18 to 29-year-old, you're watching this online. Obviously, the majority of the information you get is online. And they're going to come after you many, many different ways to steer you to be an R or a D. But here's what's interesting. For a lot of you out there, a lot of you young people, you're neither. It says for the youth in politics, the party is over. Fully 50% of voters aged 18 to 29 now identify themselves as independents, and the percentage of electorate under 30 is growing. In 2006, 18 to 29-year-olds accounted for 21% of the electorate. By 2015, estimates are that 18 to 29-year-olds will account for 33% of all voters. 33% of all voters. And as of right now, just look at the last study I looked at was in the Carolinas. In the Carolinas, there's a huge effort for high school kids, seniors, most likely, 18 years old or older. I mean, you could be one of those 5 or 6 year seniors. I mean, I don't know. And if you are, I don't know if you should be voting. Nah, just kidding. Excuse me, I must take a sip of my victory soda. I'm going to make sure I wasn't a quarterback, but I make sure my fingers are on the strings correctly. Growing number of voters, 18 to 29-year-olds, who are registering are not a Republican or a Democrat. They are an independent. Now, I've been saying this for quite some time. Listen, back when I was doing AM and FM, all the way back as far as ESPN stuff I was doing local in the state of Texas, even then I was talking about how important the youth are for business and how it's going to shape this country, how they react to current issues is going to define, once they get involved, spending their dollars, okay? The way money is spent is it pulls companies, how they market. And also in the political world, when they spend their wealth of their constitutional right of voting, it pulls the Democrats and Republicans, but now the independent party, and it really isn't a party, if you think about it. There's really only, you could talk about the Libertarians and Gary Johnson, whatever. Anyone who's voting for Gary Johnson and actually thinks that they're going to make a change, and they think that I had somebody say to me the other day, can I write in Ron Paul? Huh? No, you can't. And the Gary Johnson people, are you crazy? I mean, listen, Gary's a nice guy, he's an athlete, whatever. So he is he going to be the modern day Ross Perot? Because Bill Clinton would not have been president if Ross Perot was not there. That's a fact. Now, the good news is he doesn't have near the traction as Ross Perot did because he doesn't have those charts. But it's scary to me, and how many of you out there that I speak to that are part of the undecided or the Ron Paulers that say, hey, I think I'm going to actually vote for Gary Johnson, or I'm going to write in Ron Paul. And let me tell you why that's crazy. And all you 18 to 29-year-olds out there who are independent, okay? The independent party is, to me, is something, hey, maybe it's a good idea. I have argued that we need possibly a third party. Maybe this is what's happening. The trend is coming, just like the article says, by John Opdyke. The youth in politics, the party's over. The official attitude among political elites towards the independence of younger voters, the article says, ranges from amusement to outright hostility. Gail Collins of the New York Times recently opined on MSNBC's Morning Joe that the only kind of people voting in primaries tend to be the lunatic ends of the party, because everyone else thinks it's so much savvier and cooler to say they are independent. Collins' message to the new voters, delivered with typical sarcasm, is to join a party and get the program. Just get on the program, he says, folks. Come on, get in line. One of them, you can become a corporate raider. If you listen to the MSNBC, and if you have an R, you can be a corporate raider and destroy the middle class and the low class and the lower class and the economically challenged and the blighted. And in the end, if you want to be the other side, a Democrat, you can get free bread and cheese. I mean, that's exciting. You get free food. You can go to the WIC. You can see what's in the WIC aisle. Well, heck, that's every aisle now. Go to Walmart. Here in Texas, you can go to H-E-B. You can go to Randall's. You can get more stuff for free. I mean, that's what's amazing. There's an argument being pushed back and forth, right? No doubt about it. But the bottom line is this. The independent person who votes independently, what does that mean? Do you write in your own candidate? No, it means you're going to vote for an R or a D or a libertarian like Gary Johnson. And the unfortunate thing is that Gary Johnson, if you're a Democrat, it isn't a good vote, but I hope you do. And if you're a Republican, it's not a good vote, and I hope you don't. And the reason I'm saying that is because I want Mitt Romney to win. And I don't think Mitt Romney is I think he's better than most people we've had run as of late for the situation that we have at hand economically. He seems to be custom made for this situation. And for some of you, you may not trust that. But I like the idea of having somebody run the business of this country with a business background. And I know that hasn't been popular with a lot of people in the past, but you know what? I think it's time to understand, and folks, young Americans out there, the youth, some of you that are in college, some of you that refuse to go to college, some of you that went to college and are unemployed, the growing number of you that are 18 to 29-year-old that say, I want to be independent. The best way you can be independent is to make sure that you have leaders that are doing what you want them to do. And voting, see, if you vote for the Republican, here's what I do know. I don't know. Let me tell you what I don't know first. What I don't know is what Mitt Romney's going to do. I don't know. I have no idea. I wasn't happy with the last 4 years of Bush, 43. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what happened. I don't know. But I know what I have now is far worse. So I want to stop that. I want to stop that. And that's the trial and error we do in this country. That is why we have separation of powers. That's why we vote every 4 years for president, every 6 years for U.S. Senate, every 2 years for Congress, for reps. That's why we do that. And it's all in cycle. And our founders were smart. They staggered it. Senate every 2 years, every 2 years, every 2 years. They alternate. So it's in thirds. So you have this, continuation, this fluidity of having control over what's going on in policy and rules. And I'm excited when a lot of people are voting. I'm excited when a lot of young people are getting involved. But I'm not excited if they're voting just out of pure emotion and they're not using intelligence. And the smartest thing you can do is if you've got something that's not working, you get rid of it and put something else in that you hope works. And if that doesn't work, you get rid of it. What you don't do is keep investing in throwing good money after bad. And with the trillions of dollars we've spent in the almost last 4 years under this administration have not worked. Hey, you go to the debt clock. Hey, just go to Be First in Business. Let's go to Be First. I'm going to be there right now. We're in real time. Be First in Business. And let's see .com. Let's see what the national debt is right now. Because here's what's scary. We have a debt clock on there. And now it seemed like it took forever to get to 16 trillion. And now very recently hit 16 trillion, and now it's at 16 trillion 174 billion. It was just a few months ago when I said, your little baby that was born yesterday, if you had a child, or last year, or some of you out there that are 18 years old, you know how much you owe right now? Here's what you owe. You owe $51,417. That doesn't matter if you're sitting in a poopy diaper right now, watching SpongeBob, or if you are 95 years old, sitting in a poopy diaper, watching SpongeBob. Sorry for the crassness, but the fact is, you all owe it, and everything in between, owe $51,000 and growing. And we have that right up on, the debt clock is right on the front page of BeFirstInBusiness.com. So I'm going to slow down a little bit here. We got lots more to get to. We're going to talk a little bit about fortune, death of cash. But right now we have somebody on the line right now who I promised. It's 2:35. We are right on time. It's beautiful. Gabe, you're always doing a great job. Thank you so much. And we have Terry Littlepage on the line. He's one of our partners within Be First in Media and now Be First in Business. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Craig.
How are you? Let me turn you up so I can hear you. How are you doing?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, have you been watching the show? Are you in El Paso right now? Where are you?
I'm actually in Santa Teresa, New Mexico.
Santa Cruz.
I can see. I'm kind of like Sarah Palin. Like she could see Russia from her back porch. I can see Texas from my back porch. So,
So Texas, New Mexico. Well, first of all, I want to welcome you to the program. It's the first time that Terry's called into the show. This is the first time we have went officially live, a live broadcast in real time on Be First in Media with the Craig Bushon Show. And a lot of the stuff that I'm showing them is on the web and the things that we're doing with Be First in Media and how people can watch it just by going to Be First in Media, clicking Watch Live, and they can see it in real time. And then we have Be First in Business, and a lot of that has to do with you, Terry. I always thank you so much for the hard work that you do on the web technical side of what we are doing within our media.
Well, I first of all, I enjoy it. That's the good thing. If it was actually work, then it might be a problem. But for me, it's sort of a love thing. I started my first business back in 1984. That's when the fax machine was just catching on. And I would have loved, being a new business owner, to have the resources at my fingertips that I have just on, that's when I'm building the functionality within Be First in Business and Be First in Media. I kind of build it out with that in mind. The tools that you have now via the internet and the information, that sort of thing, would have it would have made starting a business a lot easier. I had to read books. I still have a few books, but most of my reading is done online now.
Well, it is amazing, Terry, how, I was just talking about the 18 to 29-year-olds, the Y generation, how, the way that they get their information is via the web. The way they get their information is not through traditional, old school, technologies like television. I mean, we're truly in the middle of a paradigm shift when it comes to how people get their information, especially the youth of America or the younger Americans.
Absolutely. I'm sort of, I'm not in that generation, obviously, but I personally, for example, I don't watch commercials on TV. I TiVo out all of my commercials. So when I watch a program that I want to watch, I watch it when I want to watch it without any advertising. I sort of do the same thing when I'm in the car. I have satellite radio, and so if you're an advertiser trying to sell me goods, the only place you're gonna catch me is online. And so that's how technology has really changed the way people and businesses are able to advertise themselves.
Well, that's what I like about what we're doing with Be First in Business. Be First in Business is it's a real pro-capitalist, pro-America place for businesses to interact, to advertise, where viewers and listeners and or customers can go and find companies that are traditionally, and listen, we understand that not everybody at every time every product comes from America. That's not the point. But they're doing their very best of due diligence to get the best products that they can, made in America as much as possible, also using E-Verify, being a very pro-capitalist, and capitalism runs on, it's the law of capitalism, and that's why I'm so excited about Be First in Business. Tell the folks a little bit about that site.
Well, the Be First in Business is really a vehicle for there's two opportunities through Be First in Business. The first is as an informational resource. You mentioned the debt clock. There's more functionality that we intend to add to that. You mentioned E-Verify. We certainly want to have the ability to for folks to log on and do business with and feel comfortable with the companies that they're doing business with. And then the second is we want to offer the opportunity to businesses to speak to our audience. So by being an advertiser on our website or being affiliated with Be First in Business in general, you've been pre-screened, and the users of our website can sort of feel comfortable with the advertisers on there that we are pro-American, we are pro-capitalist. That's one thing I wanted to touch on also. You mentioned capitalism, and I think what's happened over the last probably 25 years is capitalism has sort of become, the word capitalism has a stigma attached to it. I think, because a lot of the folks in the Y generation, they don't understand what it means. That when you mention capitalism, they don't think of hardworking entrepreneurs. They've been programmed to think of corporate raiders and ruthless bankers and that sort of thing. And capitalism is it's like a republic. There's reasons why the United States has been around as long as it has in a free state, and it's because of capitalism, and it's because of the fact that we're not a democracy, we're a republic, and we are a capitalist society. We are not a socialist. Well,
and a lot of people forget about that, Terry. You make a very good point. A representative republic is not a true democracy. What people, have to understand, it's like people get confused, and it's because it's not taught well, especially in the schools these days. And that's another thing I'm excited about. What we're going to be doing within Be First in Media is bringing that type of information out to educate people. But then it also blends over to the business side because, as politics go, so does the state of business. I mean, look at small businesses today. Look at the definition of capitalism. It's a noun. I always say go to Webster. I wish Webster's dictionary was in the debates and we'd actually be defining the words that people say. I wish that people would actually do the title on their job description. But here, Terry, is the description of capitalism. It's a noun. It's an economic system in which investment in and ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange of wealth is made and maintained chiefly by private individuals or corporations, especially as contrasted to cooperatively or state-owned means of wealth. And that's where the 10th Amendment even comes in to being a part of capitalism, where you can't have this single head of the government, which acts like a king that dictates to all the states on how they're going to do every single thing. And that's why the 10th Amendment is such a huge part of this country and helps define what capitalism is. It's this free trade. It's being able to incubate your own little business or incubate an entire state. And then we have representatives and senators who help filter, what needs to be done by and for the people or for the state itself. I mean, it's a pretty the way America has capitalism defined. It's a very sophisticated system, but there's a lot of checks and balances, and a lot of people who are voting today, especially the young folks who are getting involved for the first time they're going to vote, coming up in just a few days. It's important that they understand that this does not happen on accident. This is all on purpose, and that's why they need to be engaged, and they have to make sure they're voting for the right candidate to support the laws of capitalism.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's, the other reason why Be First in Business and Be First in Media really go hand in glove is because, we can use them to explain to as an educational tool. For example, I hear all the time, and it makes me crazy to hear people talking about how big oil, exploits the taxpayers and they're making too much profit. When I was in business, if I operated at a 2% or a 3% or whatever the oil companies are operating at, I probably wouldn't last very long. They just happen to have volume. And then if you think they are, this cash machine, most of them are publicly traded. I mean, as an individual, if you think big oil is getting rich, hey, take your money and buy stock in Chevron. You're not excluded from the system. You can actually participate in the system. And I think that's what the left wing, the traditional mainstream media has done, is they've created this wedge between, and they've created enough buzzwords that they have, I think, intentionally undereducated a couple of generations now. So, and people, a lot of kids, I know, in my case, I graduated from high school. I was not prepared. I mean, sure, I had the basic history lessons, but I ended up having to educate myself. I found out early on I wasn't a good employee. I was more of an owner, and so I had to go and educate myself, and I was terribly ill prepared through the public education system to start a business. So, that gets back to, as we're building out these sites, I put a lot of my own personal, experience in what would be valuable to me as a person either starting or running a business or growing a business. So, but I, generally I think that between the media and the state-run education systems, we're just not turning out entrepreneurial material, and that's what we hope to create with what we're
absolutely.
doing here.
And again, folks, you're watching the Craig Bushon Show live on Be First in Media, BeFirstInMedia.com. Always know that to tell all your friends to go to BeFirstInMedia.com, click on the Listen Live. I'm on the phone right now out of New Mexico with one of the founders and one of my partners with Be First in Media and Be First in Business. And what's exciting about having you on the show today, Terry, is to A, introduce you to the folks, and B, let them hear from you that, why we're doing this, what's going on. Right now we have on our live feed, pictures of the website, pictures of, what's up there in the fist. A lot of people, we go around, and Gabe is also one of our other partners who does a lot of production for us, also hosts the Common Man Show on Be First in Media. But a lot of people are reacting to one of our logos that has the fist. Now, talk a little bit about that. What I like about it is that, the fist has been around a long time. It is, it's been used in revolutions in Mexico. It's been used in Russia. It's been used here in the United States as recent as, I guess, the Black Panthers. But it's been used for many, many, many generations all over the world. But we have it. Why don't you give your interpretation of, in the fist and why we're saying leading the conservative internet revolution?
Well, that kind of came out of just some brainstorming that we were doing here, and what we were talking about was the fact that, conservatism and capitalism don't have any real symbols. Communism and socialism and other movements, and even liberal ideas and agendas, they come up with clever buzzwords and symbols to promote their cause because they're very visual. Most of those play on people's emotion rather than common sense. And so what we were talking about is, wouldn't it be a good idea for us to come up with some symbols to carry the message that people could identify with readily, even if it initially was misunderstood. Once they asked about it, or we had the opportunity to explain what we're trying to do, at least we have grabbed some attention. And I think that's the idea behind the fist and some of the other symbols that we've been trying to create is, how can we carry our message both visually and in the written word. So that's really where that came from.
Well, I like it. I like the edge. I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about having all this technology really at hand. I mean, we're at a very unique time right now, and I talked a little bit earlier, again, about the younger generation, okay? And it's not that we're old, we're kind of in the middle, right? When you hit 40, at least, there's it gets you a different perspective in life, and if you have kids, it adds it more of a perspective, if you happen to have grandkids, even more. And the more vapor trail you leave behind you in life, the more you can kind of look back and see and learn from the experiences. But this couldn't have been done the way we're doing it even 5 years ago. I mean, technology is moving so fast, and the ability to broadcast. Now, I mean, Terry, I've been on radio for a number of years, AM, FM, traditional broadcasting, and they are struggling to adapt because they're becoming more irrelevant. And I kind of look at, and not to say that people aren't listening to the radio, they are. And I'm not saying that people don't watch TV, they do. But like you said earlier, most people, they're not going to sit through a commercial. That's why you see shows that have product placement right in the middle of it. So you can't help but be, I said Dr. Pepper 10 on the show. You can't help it. If you're watching the show, I'm talking about the Texans because I'm a Texans fan. You can't help but to see it if it's on the show because the odds are you're not going to sit through the commercials. And so what we're doing with this new technology, another part that's really good about this technology is that it can be had in real time, meaning we're broadcasting live. But you don't have to be at your computer. You could be at a tablet. You could be on, your smart device, your Androids. You could be just about anywhere. You can go back and watch down archives. You could be in your car right now, pull it up on your phone or tablet, plug in your microphone or in your headphone link into your stereo, and listen to it live, just like radio. So these things are happening, the things that we're being able to do, it's because technology is allowing us to do it. And I think we're blessed to be able to, choose. We didn't choose to be alive now, but we happen to be alive in a time where we, the people, can define a message where we're afraid of controlled media. We can push back through things just like this, just like what we're doing right now.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, if you were, a couple of years ago, your advertising venues were limited. You're like you said, you're sort of limited to, and you could, what you would try to do is place your product your message where the traffic was at, where the information was at. So we're not really doing anything else differently. But you mentioned something that's right. It's product. It's becoming more of a product placement kind of thing, and you can relate your product to a targeted demographic. So if we've got folks that think that the entrepreneurs that are on our website looking for information will benefit from their product, we just put a sidebar ad on there, and as they're reading an article or using one of our tools, their ad is there. It's clickable. It can be, if they want more information about what the advertiser is saying. I mean, you can't do that with a billboard. You can't do that with a bench ad. You can't do that with a radio ad. It's two-way communication. All those other mediums are one-way. The advertiser is talking at you, whereas with this format, it's talking with you. You can have live chats with your customers online. There's just so many ways to, once those eyes fall on your ad, to convert that to, or a higher opportunity or a higher percentage of a chance to convert that to a sale. When you're just going after, eyeball traffic on the freeway with a billboard, it's a numbers game.
Right.
We're more of a targeted, targeted opportunity for.
Well, it's real time. It's like when I spent some time with Janine Turner last week, and with Janine Turner, she had our daughter Juliet, and she, has a book out, Our Constitution Rocks, and in real time, the same day, we not only could have a link up to the interview, we also have a link up on the site on how to buy the book on Amazon in real time. So when it gets repropagated, which means, played over and over again down the road, and it's still up right now on our front page. We have our interview in a hangar at an airport with the Wilco Tea Party in beautiful Georgetown, Texas, as we're traveling around meeting with people all over, and it turns into a possible revenue stream for the person who was on the show too. So it's all interconnected. To me, it's one of the best examples of true capitalism being fed by entrepreneurialism, and the traffic, once they're watching, they can actually do something while they're there. They can click on stuff and get more information on things, and then they can also purchase things. So I like this form of advertising. I like this form of media. I also like, and I want to say this while I have just a couple more minutes before we get to the top of the hour here. And again, folks, speaking with Terry Littlepage. He is calling in from New Mexico, and he is one of the co-founders of BFIM and BFIB. But what we have, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, is you and I were brainstorming the other day, and we said, hey, how about an election Twitter feed all on one page of a site to follow the president, the vice president, and the Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan in real time, and then boom, there it is. I mean, that's cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think to take it even to a personal level, I don't know if we should be saying this, but we're partners, you and I, here in this endeavor, and we've never met face to face. So
right,
there's we're building businesses long distance, and to be honest, I'm just as comfortable as if we'd met at a coffee at Denny's, but we've been able to pull it off without ever having met face to face.
And that's a very key point you made, because a lot of people complain about the younger generation not being engaged in person. They're texting, they're Facebooking, they're barely calling on the phone anymore. They email, they text, they do all this stuff. They tweet. They do everything but sit down across from somebody and the old shake. We did this business on a handshake. Well, there's different types of handshaking now. This digital age, you can still get to know people, pretty well, without having to physically be in front of them, and that draws people together that numbers of years ago you couldn't do because you didn't have the technology. You couldn't even meet each other. I mean, you could do a phone call, okay. Maybe you could write a letter, But now with videos, with video conferencing, and how we can communicate on multiple different frequencies with each other in real time, I think that in some cases it's even better than if you had met somebody at a Starbucks and had a conversation with them and said, "Oh, gee, I think that person's a nice person because that first impression was great." I think we're proving that you don't have to necessarily be in person with somebody to get to know them and to build a relationship that can be in business can be profitable and equitable for all.
Right, and that kind of that also lends credence to what you had mentioned earlier, is that it's moving quickly. I mean, if even 5 years ago, I would have probably had to fly to Austin, or you'd have flown here to El Paso. We would have had to, probably do that 2 or 3 times before we got to know each other well enough to pull the trigger on a project like this. And so we've probably taken months out of the process just by utilizing the technology that's at our fingertips.
Oh, and the cost of launching business today, if you use technology correctly, is much lower. But the one thing that doesn't change, Terry, is the quality. The quality of whatever's being done still needs to be there. And that's why we work very hard. I mean, we're building mobile studios. What we're in right now is a mobile studio with the backdrop and our sound equipment and our cameras and computers. And it's designed so we can replicate this, so we can have 5, 10, 50 of these around the country, if not 500 around the world, broadcasting through our different networks, some of them broadcasting for the media side, for more politics and opinions, and the other one a business side to promote great business and prosperity and help people find work and grow their economic position in what I believe is the greatest nation on earth. And ultimately, these combined efforts and the stuff that we're being able to do, it's much more affordable because, like you said, we don't have to fly or drive or take a Greyhound. We can do everything in real time for fractions of what it would normally cost.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but I want to thank you so much and for coming on the show today. And we'll definitely, of course, have you back on again. We're coming to the end of Hour 1. Again, we do every Sunday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but then we do many, many other broadcasts during the week where we actually go to special events. But the Craig Bushon Show, which leads the week, the first day of the week is really Sunday, folks. At least in my book. And the bottom line is we come to you, we recap what's happened in the last week, and then we're going to talk and speculate and push and look at our crystal ball of what's coming in the future. Terry, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you, guys. There
you have it. Terry Littlepage. Be First in Media, Be First in Business. Great guy. Before we go to break here, I want to talk to you a little bit about this. Okay, if you can pick that up. Can they see that, Gabe? Hopefully so, but I'll give you I'll tell you what I'm talking about. It's Operation Chili Challenge to benefit Heroes Night Out. It's November 3rd. We're going to be out there with our mobile studio. We're going to be broadcasting live, doing interviews with different people that will be out there. It's an awesome benefit for the Heroes Night Out, which is a wonderful veterans assistance resource center in Cedar Park, Texas, and they also have one in Kentucky. But it is on November 3rd. It's open to the public, so you can go out there. We have posts up on our Facebook page. We tweet about it, and we also have a link on the front page of Be First in Media. We'll probably get one up on Be First in Business also, because it's going to be held at Courts, Berkshire Hathaway Company, in beautiful Round Rock, Texas. So actually, it's North Austin, I should say. And it's going to be at the rental showroom at 9821 Interstate Highway 35. And you want to check that out. It's going to go from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's the Operation Chili Challenge. Very excited about that. So make sure you check it out. And when we come back, well, I hope this isn't true. I hope it's not true. And that's weird. There's an Apple phone. They're doing an iPhone. They're shredding it with an iPhone. See that right there? The Death of Cash. Cover of Fortune magazine. Talk a little bit about that. And also, hey, did you hear? The new $100 bills? Well, they were stolen. I don't know where they're at either. Maybe they found them all. Google it and see if I can find out. But, Google's getting sued by the government. Oh, kind of reminds me of Microsoft in the 90s. What's going on? Weird. Oh, and ACTA. You may want to check that out too. ACTA. Well, here's the good news. We'll be right back.